This is Fritz. You got 5 minutes? I'd like to talk with you today about a difference with branding, with company branding, specifically the difference between external branding and internal branding. I'm going to give you some definitions of both, and then I want to explain how internal branding is actually the stronger of the two. You want to make sure you have a strong internal brand, and then I'm going to tell you about a metric that you might not consider as a way to tell if you have a strong internal brand, and then how to make that metric be your benchmark for how to get to where you need with your internal branding. So starting with the definition, external branding would be how people perceive your company. People outside of the company perceive your company. And a lot of times people will think that just fits in the category of just branding, the umbrella term of branding, okay? But internal branding is how your employees, your internal people, think about your company, what their thoughts are, how they feel about working there. Okay, and the reason why I distinguish between the two, and I don't just lump it all together in one big category called branding, is because it is possible as a company to have a strong external brand and a very weak internal brand. And an example would be, let's say you're a software company and you ship awesome stuff, just all the time, awesome stuff. Inside, everybody's running around, their hair is on fire, they're very stressed out. Turnover rate is atrocious, okay? That's an example of a very strong external brand and a very weak internal brand. People that are inside, they're like, this isn't ideal. Customers are happy. So that's a dissimilarity there. The flip side is you can also have a very weak external brand and a strong internal brand, okay? So if you're a company and the outside perception is, they're kind of old school, real kind of clunky, slow, whatever, but internally you're working on some really cool stuff, and maybe it's just not well known yet, and people are like, yeah, I'm excited to go to work today and get stuff done. That would be an example of a very strong internal brand and growing internal brand and a weak external brand. So if you're in the situation where you're like, hey, our internal brand, now that you've defined it, really sucks, and so what do we do about it? I mean, it can be an uphill battle depending on how much work you have to do, but I want to share a benchmark. I'm going to share, it's kind of a strange metric, and I'll tell you what it is. It is how fast can new people get ramped up in your company, okay? Now, that might sound strange. It might sound like, well, it's totally irrelevant. What's that got to do with internal branding? It has everything to do with internal branding, okay? Because the amount of red tape and bureaucracy and tribal knowledge and just stuff that a new hire has to slurp up within the first 1 to 2 weeks, and that's a golden time, and I'll explain why in a minute. But in the first 2 weeks, if a person cannot be productive in that span of time, that indicates that you may have a weak internal brand. You've got a lot of cruft, a lot of stuff that slows people down from being productive. And the 1 to 2 week mark for a new person is especially crucial, right? Because when they get there, they're going to want to be productive. They want to make a great first impression. They want to hit the ground running, okay? And if the environment is not set up such that they can do that and be successful, that's going to really set the tone for the rest of their time there. It's just going to keep getting worse and worse. And the reason why the amount of time it takes a new hire to get ramped up is important is because the change is going to work from the inside out, right? So, you might say, well, when a new hire starts, that's just the tip of the iceberg, and that's fine, but let's be honest. If the tip of the iceberg is crap, the rest of the iceberg is probably going to be crap too, right? So if the tip of the iceberg looks great and it's very streamlined and it's cool and smooth, the rest of the experience is going to be cool and smooth too, okay? So to work on your internal brand, your goal should be how fast can we onboard somebody and get them productive, all right? I've seen both sides of the coin. I've had a job one time where I started off, and within the first week I was able to get something knocked out that a couple other people weren't successful at. And it was because everything was streamlined. Everything was ready to rock. I've also been in a place where didn't have all the logins set up right and stuff, and I spent my first 2 weeks basically looking over people's shoulders. and that set the tone for the rest of the time I was there. So strive to get an internal brand that's very strong, and your goal, again, should be how fast can you ramp somebody up? That's a great metric. Listen, a little bit over 5 minutes here, so I'm going to cut it short. Really hope you have a great day. It's Friday today. And yeah, comment below, share what your experiences are. How are things going with your internal brand and your external brand? Do you have dissimilarities? Do you have any case stories? Have you heard things? I would love to hear your story. So hope you have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.